Here's an interesting fact. 85% of traders who blow up their accounts don't lose money because they picked the wrong market directions. They lose money because they couldn't handle being wrong. That £500 or $500 loss becomes $2,000 when they double down. The $2,000 becomes $8,000 when they just need one good trade to get even. The $8,000 becomes a closed account when desperation replaces discipline. You've probably heard that trading is 80% psychology and 20% strategy. What they don't tell you is that learning to lose properly is 80% of the psychology. Every professional trader has felt the burning urge to chase losses, to prove the market wrong, to get their money back immediately. The difference isn't that successful traders don't feel those urges. It's that they've built systems to protect themselves when their rational mind goes offline. Today, we're going inside the mind of a losing trader. We're going to explore why your brain turns against you when you're losing money, how small losses become account killers, and most importantly, how to master the art of losing small so you can win big. But here's the truth, your relationship with losing money determines your relationship with winning. Let's begin. Before we can solve the problem of loss chasing, we need to understand why it happens. And I want you to know that if you've chased losses, you're not weak, you're not undisciplined or lacking in intelligence. You're human and you're responding exactly as your brain is designed to respond. Loss aversion triggers a survival response because your brain can't distinguish between financial threat and physical threat. When you see those red numbers growing on your screen, your primitive brain reacts as if your physical survival is at stake. Your heart pounds, your palms sweat, and your thinking becomes clouded by stress hormones. This is evidence-based psychology. Now, research consistently shows that the pain of losing £100 feels roughly twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining £100 or dollars. Your brain is literally wired to overreact to losses, which made perfect sense when our ancestors faced genuine life or death situations, but creates chaos in the world of trading. Your ego whispers, "I can't be wrong," and suddenly the trade becomes personal. I'm sure most of you have been there. So instead of a business decision with a good outcome, it becomes a referendum on your intelligence, your skill, your worth as a trader. The market becomes a judge rather than simply a place for price discovery and action. I see this constantly in my work with traders. Brilliant, successful people in other areas of life who would never let ego drive their business decisions suddenly find themselves unable to accept even a small loss because it feels like admitting failure. The trade stops being about following a system and starts being about proving they were right. Now, recency bias creates the illusion that it has to turn around soon because your mind gives real strong weight to what's happening right now. After watching a trade move against you for what feels like forever, your brain becomes convinced that a reversal is imminent. Every small bounce becomes evidence that you were right all along, whilst the larger trend destroying your position gets dismissed as temporary distraction. Now, the first step to overcoming loss chasing isn't willpower or discipline, it's honest self-awareness about how your mind works when money is at stake. Let me share something that might change how you view your own trading struggles. When you're losing money, you're literally not the same person who created your trading plan. Your brain changes in measurable, predictable ways that make rational decision-making nearly impossible. Your prefrontal cortex, your rational planning mind, goes completely offline when you're experiencing significant losses. Now, brain imaging studies show decreased activity in the regions responsible for logical thinking and impulse control, whilst emotional centers become hyperactive. This is science. This explains something you've probably experienced, knowing exactly what you should do during a losing trade, but almost feeling unable to do it. You know you should cut the losses, stick to your plan, and preserve your capital, but something stops you from clicking that button. That something is your compromised neurology. Your amygdala hijacks your decision making in an attempt to escape the pain quickly. The ancient alarm system floods your body with stress hormones that create an overwhelming urge to do something, to stop the discomfort. Now, unfortunately, this biological imperative usually translates into taking larger risks and abandoning your strategy. And here's the cruel irony. The brain state that makes you most desperate to take risks is the same brain state that makes you worse at evaluating those risks. You become more eager to gamble and less capable of assessing the odds. Your dopamine system goes haywire, creating an addiction-like craving for the relief that would come from a winning trade. Time perception warps dramatically when you're losing. Minutes feels like hours, creating the illusion that you've been suffering forever and that the relief must be imminent. Now, this distorted time sense makes you impatient with strategies that normally require time to develop. This leads to premature exits from good trades and premature entries into revenge trade. I'm sharing this neuroscience not to excuse poor trading decisions, but to help you understand that your struggles with losses aren't failures, they're predictable responses from a brain that's operating under extreme stress. Now, the solution isn't to fight these responses. It's to recognize when your brain is in this compromised state and have systems and techniques in place to protect you when your rational mind is offline. Let me share how consistently profitable traders think about losses, because it's fundamentally different from how most traders approach them. This shift in perspective is often the difference between long-term success and joining the statistics of failed traders. Losses are simply the cost of doing business. Professional traders don't see losses as failures or signs of incompetence. They see them as inevitable expenses required to extract profits from the markets, like rent for an office, ingredients for a restaurant, or petrol for a delivery business. This is about reframing the mindset. Now, if you have a strategy that wins 60% of the time with a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio, you need those 40% of losing trades to identify and capitalize on the 60% of winning trades. The losses aren't obstacles to profitability, they're part of the process that creates profitability. Each loss brings you closer to your edge playing out. Now, professional traders understand that their edge exists over a series of trades, not an individual one. A single loss doesn't invalidate your strategy any more than a single red card invalidates a casino business model. Now, this perspective transforms how you accept and experience losses. Evidence-based thinking allows you to see a loss as progress towards your long-term success. You're not failing. Focus on process, not individual outcomes. Now, elite traders evaluate their performance based on whether they followed their process correctly, not on whether individual trades made money. A perfectly executed trade that loses money is a success. A profitable trade that violated risk management rules is a failure. This process focus insulates you from the emotional roller coaster of individual results. Now, when your self-worth as a trader is tied to following your system rather than being right about market direction, losses become feedback rather than failure. The most important work in trading happens before you enter a position, not during or not after. How you prepare mentally for potential losses determines whether you'll handle them professionally or emotionally when they occur. Visualize a loss before you enter the trade. This is a professional preparation backed by sports psychology research. Before you click the button, take a moment to imagine how you'll feel if this trade goes to your stop loss. Mentally rehearse accepting that loss calmly and moving on to the next opportunity. This visualization serves two crucial purposes. It prepares your emotional system for the possibility of a loss, and it confirms that you generally are comfortable with the risk you're taking. Now, if you can't mentally accept losing the money you're about to risk, you shouldn't take the trade. Ask yourself, am I comfortable losing this amount? The simple question cuts through all the analysis and optimism to the heart of risk management. Not, am I confident this trade will work, but am I comfortable if it doesn't? Your answer will tell you immediately whether this position size is appropriate. If the thought of losing your planned risk amounts or creates anxiety, your position is too large. If you can generally accept the potential loss as a cost of business, you are properly positioned. Write down your exit strategy before entry. This isn't just about setting a stop loss price, it's about committing in writing to what you'll do when the trade goes against you. So, if the price reaches X, I will exit immediately without hesitation. If I'm down Y amount, I will close a position and step away for the day. Writing creates psychological commitment that verbal or mental commitments cannot match. When you've documented your exit plan, whilst you're thinking clearly, it becomes much harder to abandon that plan when emotions come in. Set maximum daily and weekly loss limits before you begin trading each session, and decide in advance the maximum amount you're willing to lose in a day or a week, and commit to stopping when you've reached that limit. Professional traders respect these limits because they understand that capital preservation is more important than any individual trading opportunity. So the key insight is that loss acceptance must happen before you need it, not during the emotional heat of a losing position. By the time you've experienced a loss, your decision-making ability is compromised. The work of accepting losses must be done when you're thinking clearly before you have any money at risk. Now, this pre-trade mental preparation is about building the psychological foundation that allows you to trade professionally over time. One of the most profound shifts in trading psychology happens when you stop seeing stop losses as admissions of failure, and you start seeing them as essential business tools. Now, every business sets limits on how they'll spend money on inventory or expansion without guaranteed reserve returns. Your stop loss is simply your limit on how much you'll invest in a market. Many traders resist tight stops because they don't want to be stopped out of a trade that might eventually work. But this thinking generally misses a crucial point. Capital tied up in marginal trades is capital that can't be deployed in high probability opportunities. Now, professional traders prefer to take many small losses whilst waiting for the exceptional opportunities that generate most of their profits. They understand that trading is about capital allocation, not about being right on every trade. Now, the golden rule: if you're uncomfortable with the stop, don't take the trade. This simple principle eliminates most trading problems before they start. So, if reducing position size makes a trade feel uninteresting, skip it entirely. Every profitable trader has learned this lesson. It's better to miss opportunities than to risk capital you can't afford to lose. There's always going to be another trade. When your ego is involved, stops feel like personal attacks. When you're operating as a business, stops feel like necessary operating expenses. Position sizing is where most traders destroy themselves, and it's usually not because they don't understand the mathematics. It's because they let emotions override and destroy discipline. The 2% rule isn't just a suggestion, it's a survival mechanism. Never risk more than 2% of your account on a single trade, but of course it's up to you. With 2% risk per trade, you can withstand 20 consecutive losses and still have 67% of your account intact. With 10% risk per trade, just 3 consecutive losses cut your account in half, obviously depending on your account. Now, professional traders understand that staying in the game is more important than maximizing any individual trade's profit potential. Calculate position size based on stop distance, not on conviction. Many traders make the fatal error of taking larger positions when they feel more confident about a trade. But confidence doesn't change market probabilities. It just increases the cost of being wrong. The 2% rule isn't about limiting your potential. It's about ensuring you have enough opportunities to let your edge play out over time. Trading isn't about hitting home runs on individual trades. It's about staying in the game long enough for your edge to compound. What you do immediately after a loss determines whether that loss remains a manageable business expense or becomes the first domino in a sequence that destroys your account. Having a good systematic post-loss protocol is essential for professional trading. So step 1, stop trading, close your platform and step away physically. This is a requirement. When you've just taken a loss, your brain is flooded with stress hormones that impair decision making. The urge to get back in there and recover immediately is strongest right after a loss. Physical separation breaks the emotional momentum that leads to revenge trading. Leave your desk, walk to another room, go outside, anything that creates physical distance between you and your trading platform. Now, this separation gives your nervous system time to calm down and your rational mind to gain control again. Step 2, breathe. Take a minimum of 10 deep breaths. Deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which counteracts the stress hormone triggered by losses. Now, this process changes your brain chemistry from reactive to responsive. Focus on slow, controlled breaths. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and then exhale for 6. This breathing pattern has been shown to reduce cortisol levels and improve cognitive function within minutes. Now, don't underestimate this simple practice. It's used by professional athletes, the military, and emergency responders to maintain performance under pressure. Step 3, journal. Write what happened without judgment. Document the trade objectively. What did you do? What happened? How did you feel? This is about creating emotional distance through the act of writing. Now, writing engages different neural pathways than thinking. It helps you to process emotions and gain perspective. Step 4, review. Was this a planned loss or an error in process? This is a crucial question that determines what you do next. If you followed your system or your plan correctly and the market simply moved against you, this was a planned loss, a cost of doing business that requires no change to your approach. Now, if you violated your system and you abandoned your plan because of emotions, this was a process of error that needs addressing. Focus on the process failure, not the individual loss. The money is gone regardless, but process failures can be corrected to prevent future disasters. Step 5, reset. Only return when you're emotionally balanced. Don't set a specific time limit. Instead, use your emotional state as the guide. You're ready to trade again when you can think about market opportunities or the markets without replaying your last loss. When you consider new opportunities without needing to get even, and when you can follow your system without the emotional baggage of recent losses. This might take 15 minutes, 2 hours, even 2 days. Professional traders prioritize their emotions over market opportunities under this time because they understand that trading whilst emotional is going to generally cause a negative outcome. Now, as we come to the end of the presentation, remember the ultimate goal isn't to eliminate losses. It's to ensure that all your losses are planned, purposeful, and educational. When you can lose money according to your system and feel good and okay about your professional discipline, you've made the crucial transition to becoming a professional trader. Learning to lose well isn't just a trading skill, it's a life skill that serves you in business, relationships, and personal growth. The resilience, discipline, and emotional intelligence required to handle losses professionally will benefit you far beyond your trading career. Remember, your relationship with losing determines your relationship with winning. Master the art of losing small, and you master the foundation of consistent trading success. Thank you for your time today. See you next time.